Hello, you guys, Luxira Moon Goddess, and for today's video, I'm going to be doing I actually have a magical book haul. So, I recently went shopping, adding some books to my collection, and so I've purchased a few magical books that I would like to share with you. So, with that being said, let's get into it. So the first book that I have is, and if you follow me on Instagram, I posted about this one not too long ago. So the first one we have is The Magic of Marie Laveau, Embracing the Spiritual Legacy of the Voodoo Queen of New Orleans. And so I recently got interested, I'm interested in learning more about voodoo, and so I thought that this would be a good book for me to start with. So this book obviously is about Marie Laveau, who was a practitioner of voodoo in New Orleans around in the 1800s. So I purchased this book. This book I got off of actually got off of Amazon, and so I started reading this book. And let me tell you, this is a really good read. I'm really glad that I picked up this book. So basically, it goes into basically the beginning part kind of goes into her life. It talks about her birth, um, being born in New Orleans. Um, it gives information about like her grandmother, how she was influenced by a grandmother. Mentions some things about her being a slave owner. And so this is a really good read, and so I've really gotten into it um, with learning about Marie Laveau. And it also includes, like, if you want to, walking on a similar path as her and working with her as a devotee. So it has, like, for example, creating an altar to devotion. And it really gives good information about her and about her practices as well. So this is a really good book. Like I said, this book I got off of Amazon, and I actually saw it when I was out doing the book haul. They also had it at half price book, so I wish I had known that because I would have saved a little bit more money. But this one I got on Amazon, and so if you would like to learn more about Marie Laveau, I highly recommend this book right here because it is a really good read. Now, the next book that I have is this one is called Notes for the Night, a guided journal for moonlit magic. So this one is just a prompted journal. And I really like doing prompted journals because it's like you really get into with the questions that they ask, like, see, it gives you like a little prompt, and then you can basically journal, an answer to the prompt that it has. So I like doing these prompted journals from time to time because it really taps into my intuition. It really gives you something to also think about as well, like, especially if you're someone who's a really deep thinker. Doing these prompted journals to me are a lot of fun. So the theme of this one focuses on the night, and so I feel like this would be like a fun journal to do, particularly at night. And it's got quite a lot of, it's not a huge book, but it does have a lot of different prompts in here. So I feel like this would just be like a fun activity to keeping in the theme of the night. I think I'm going to be doing this one particularly in the evening, doing it at night, because I feel like it'll be something really fun for me to do. So, on to the next one. The next book that I have is called Witches of the World, and I just had to get this one just for the cover. Like, the cover alone, like, I feel like even though it's at the time of this video, it's like not until months later, I feel like this would be a fun read for Halloween. So, Witches of the World. This book kind of goes into skimming through it, it goes into kind of like the history of witches. So, for example, the first chapter is called the witch hunt craze. So this is basically giving information about how back centuries ago, there was the witch hunt. The witches were being persecuted and killed. Women who were, if they were suspected of witchcraft, they would basically, they would hunt down these witches and unfortunately kill them. So it gives information about that. The second chapter talks about how to spot a witch, and it gives information about that. And so, like I said, I think I picked up this one. Like I said, the cover really drew me in. And I feel like this would just give me a lot more information about learning about, the practices of a witch. This chapter goes into like their different tools that they use, and the photos in this book as well are really nice as well. Like it has nice clear pictures and lots of different photos. So I really like that as well about the book. And so, like I said, I think I will save this one for this fall, maybe Halloween, because I think this will be a really good read. Now, the next book that I'm going to show you, this one is called Wicca Magic. Wicca Magic, a handbook of Wiccan history, traditions, and rituals. So, this one right here, I just especially liked the blue cover with the silver writing. So this one, of course, just by the title, is going into Wicca, which, if you're not familiar with Wicca, Wicca is basically a pagan, I believe a pagan-based religion that utilizes witchcraft. No, I'm not Wiccan, but I do like to read information and learn about, Wicca from time to time. So with the beginning, it explains to you what is Wicca. It gives you some good information about, what is Wicca. It also talks about, like, for example, the traditions of Wicca, things of that nature. And I think it also goes into, like, what is it? Because they have different, like the different, what is it? The different traditions, and then, like, the different holidays, like the Wheel of the Year. So, with that being said, the Wheel of the Year is, like, the different seasons, the different celebrations of the Wheel of the Year. So with that being said, that's like Yule, Imbolc, Samhain, Beltane, those following the Wheel of the Year. So I picked up this one. It looks like it'll be a great read. It's not too super long. And then it gives into explanation of like some of the symbols used in Wicca as well, which is really nice. So, like I said, this is a small little book. I thought, it'd be interesting to get. And so I picked up this book. And so I'm looking forward to reading this one as well. Now, the next book that I have, this one is called Moon Magic. Yes, Moon Magic. Now, I would not be Luxura moon Goddess if I wasn't reading books about the moon. I like the moon, I like the darkness, I like nighttime, so anything with dealing with the moon, I have to have. I just have to have it. So, this one is Moon Magic, a handbook of lunar cycles, lore, and mystical energies. So, this one is another small little book. And with that being said, it goes into basically the different phases of the moon, and then also goes into like different ways to practice magic alongside with the moon phases. So it talks about, like, for example, it also includes talking about like the different types of moon, like the blue moon, the black moon, lunar eclipses. It also goes into like different cultural beliefs and goddesses as well, which is really nice. And basically it just gives you like for example, different ways to work with the moon in your craft. So like for example, meditating with the moon, different meditations that you can do. Let's see, what else does it have? It talks about a little bit of astrology signs as well, which is nice. And so this is another short read. It's not too long, which is really nice. It's only about, let's see, it's only about 187 pages, which that's not too bad. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one as well. And then alongside with that book, there's also a moon magic journal that goes with it as well. So this is the Moon Magic Journal. Harness the power of the lunar cycles with guided rituals, spells, and meditations. So this is just kind of like a little companion journal that goes with it. And it's kind of similar to like the other journal that I showed you, and I started working on it a little bit so far, if you can see. So this is just a companion journal, and with that being said, it also has like the different phases of the moon. So you can work with it depending on what phase of the moon that you're in, and you can journal along with the phases of the moon. So it asks different questions like, what do new beginnings mean to you? And then it also has a little bit of spells. Like this one says it has a waxing crescent spell, which is nice. So it kind of gives you, kind of just different interactive things that you can do with the different phases of the moon. But like I said, I do like doing these different prompts and stuff because, it really stimulates your mind. It gets you to really think about different things. And so I'm really glad that I picked this one up as well. And I think I'm going to have fun with this journal. Now, the last one that I picked up for this haul, this one is The Magic of Cats, the Cat Lover's Guide to Enchanted Feline Energy. I just had to get this one because I love cats. I'm hoping one day at some point I'll be able to get a cat. And again, I had to get it especially just for the cover as well. So, The Magic of Cats. This one obviously is focusing on the magic of cats. And this one kind of goes into like the beginning pages talk about like the symbolism and the meaning of cats in, like, for example, Roman mythology. And so it talks about like the influence, the meaning of cats like in Roman mythology, Chinese mythology. It also talks about the cat in Japanese mythology, and also like different cat deities like Bastet, Ra, things of that nature. So it goes into, like, for example, the cat's power of protection. So it talks about magic in relation to cats. And so I picked up this one. I thought this one would seem like it would be pretty interesting read. And so, like, for example, it says, what can we learn from cats? So I really think I'm going to enjoy this one. This one would probably also be like another fun read for like closer to fall, Halloween, things of that nature. And the illustrations are pretty nice as well, which I really like, included in this book. So with that being said, let's see, what else does it have? The cat's power of affirmation. And so, yes, basically this one just goes into the magic of cats. So, that is all I have for this book haul for today. I'm also going to include, I'll have to remember to include like the links as to where you can get some of these books if you're interested. I'm going to include that into the description as well. And so that is all I have for this one, and I will check you guys later in the next one. Bye-bye.